It is indeed an honor to be graced with the presence of our chief guest and chairperson, Padma Shri, Sister Musahars, Dr. Shankar Dutt as the main discussant, and Ms. Pushpanjali Manji, the discussant. Today, we are here to witness, celebrate, and share the joy of unveiling the book titled Musahars, A Noble People, A Resilient Culture, authored by Father Dr. T. Nishant S.J. Ernest Hemingway famously said, "There is nothing to writing. All you do is sit down at the typewriter and read." A writer smears the regular with ink of the unusual, transforms the mundane into a captivating, and sometimes sifts through the humdrum of usual lives to find the most unusual stories to tell. Stories that shock and shatter, yet grip like no others. And in weaving these narratives that need telling, they craft unassailable lessons in humanity by picking up topics the others didn't, listening to voices the others couldn't, and treading paths the others feared, the roads not taken. I now invite our chief guest and chairperson, Padma Shri Sister Musahars, Dr. Shankar Dutt, officiating rector and vice principal, Father Martin Porus, S.J., Ms. Pushpanjali Manji, and Father Dr. T. Nishant S.J., to offer floral tribute on the portrait of Sri Dashrath Manji. The book is dedicated to him, and his 12th death anniversary is on 17th August. Thank you, dignitaries. Father Dr. T. Nishant S.J., the author of the book, has been associated with the Musahar community since 1989. His involvement in the life struggles of the Musahars of Bihar, the poorest of the poor, led him to undertake an anthropological study of the Musahar community in Bihar. The book essentially emanates from the author's keen desire to work for the integral liberation of the Musahars. Waking up to the needs of the Musahars, he took up a scientific study on the cultural life of the Musahars, the third largest scheduled caste group in Bihar, who remain excluded from the mainstream as they are economically assetless, socially marginalized, and culturally dehumanized. With these words, may I now invite the author of the book, Father Dr. T. Nishant S.J., to greet and welcome our guests and give an introduction to the book.
Good evening, friends. No, good evening to me. Very serious, very solemn. Friends, when I started my journey with the Musahars in 1989, I was fortunate enough to see a few committed people working for and working with the Musahars. And one of them was Sudhadidi, Sister Sutta is here, Sister Sabina is no more, and Father Philip Mantra. Sudhaji is known for her commitment to this community and contributions to women in general. And for that, she was awarded the Civilian Award, Padma Shri, in 2006. We are blessed to have her with us today as the chief guest and chairperson of this function. May I request Father Dr. Martin Porus S.J., the officiating rector and the vice principal of the college, to welcome her with a staff name. The main discussant, Professor Shankar Dutt, is the head of the English department in Patna University. And so why is he here? Professor Dutt is probably the first one in the country to introduce Dalit literature in the syllabus of postgraduate degree in the English department of Patna University. He has published several articles on Dalit literature and he teaches Dalit literature. So we are indeed happy to have this Xaverian with us, who is well known for his erudite articulation. May I request Dean of Academics, Ms. Kalpana Kumari, to welcome him with a sapling. Going against the conventional approach, I decided to have on the panel not an academician or a researcher, but a young, organic intellectual from the Musahar community, that is Pushpanjali Manji. According to Antonio Gramsci, is a Marxist, an organic intellectual need not have high educational qualification like PhD, but one who is capable of reflecting on the life situations of his or her community, especially belonging to the marginalized communities, and who is involved in the shaping of the community. Pushpanjali may be one of the very few women of this community who is rather proficient in English. She graduated from this college, St. Xavier's College of Management and Technology, in BCA in 2018 with a 7.28 CGPA, that's out of 10, and is now preparing for UPSC and DPSC under the guidance of Mr. Arun Kumar IAS. We wish you all the best and we hope to see you, Pushpanjali, as an honest officer, committed to your people, and may I now request Mr. Rakesh Pathak, coordinator of BCA department, to welcome her with a sapling. That's her own departmental coordinator, welcoming her. Mr. Divesh Sehra IAS, the Managing Director of Bihar State Scheduled Castes Cooperative Development Corporation and Special Secretary, Road Construction Department, is with us. Divesh is a sincere well-wisher of this college, which is wanting very much to become Xavier University. He has helped us much in this struggle, still not won, still not active, and we don't give up hope. Although he hails from Uttar Pradesh, he did his graduation from Sacred Heart College, Ernakulam, Kerala. And so he knows the kind of institutions we run. He is more like a friend to me and this institution. First time I was an IAS officer who would take the phone calls easily, who would reply to the WhatsApp message immediately, and a very simple and unassuming officer. We are very grateful to you for your support, and may I request Father Premla S.J., the ICAP director, to welcome him with a sapling. Mr. Arun Kumar IAS is an alumnus of St. Xavier's College, Ranchi. He shared with me that he failed in almost all the subjects in the first year because he had his schooling in Bihar Board Hindi medium school in his village. But he fought the battle courageously and became the first IAS officer from his village, and there are now many more. It is this experience of initial struggles for a student from ordinary background that made him take voluntary retirement from IAS and start a coaching institute for IAS IPS. He offers free coaching for poor students, and that is how Pushpanjali has become his student. We thank you for your concern for the poor, and may I request Father Sebastian Kanekata, the guide of the Department of Mass Communication, to welcome him with a sapling. Thank you, Kumar. Just stand up, please. Tony Herbert S.J., a Jesuit of Hazaribagh province, is an Australian by birth, but his commitment to the Bhuiyans and the Ganjus is commendable, and that makes him a true Indian. He has written 2 books, one on the Bhuiyans and the other, Disturbing the Dust, his reflections on experiences of working with the Bhuiyans and the Ganjus. When I decided to do research on the cultural life of the Musahars, I had no idea at all how I would find books, journals about this group of people. It is Father Tony who shared with me the bibliography on Bhuiyans, prepared by him painstakingly, and that was of great help in my research. Thank you for taking the trouble to come here from Chhapra, Jharkhand, to attend this function. Thank you for your support. May I request Mr. Samaraya, Professor, BBA Department, to offer him a sapling. Mr. Sujita SMD was the first one to stay in Sikandarpur Musahar Tola, and she was known as Badki Didi. I stayed in that place after her for about 9 months, and I could feel how she won the hearts of the people there. Her experience with this community helped her accomplish great works as the director of Mahila Samakya. I thank you for your words of encouragement and appreciation for me. May I request Vikas Manji of Sikandarpur, another organic intellectual, who is a graduate and had his training in Shoshit Samadhan Sangh, Manthan Khagol and Reed Bhatia, to welcome her with a sapling. Father Sumit Edwin yesterday is supposed to be here. May I know where he is? Yeah, please come on this front seat. Father Sumit Edwin SJ hails from Mumbai, earlier on Bombay. But amazingly, so coming from such a city, he is the one who is most at home in staying in any Musahar Tola, who is very much interested in the culture of this community, who may be also the first one to attempt a kind of study on Musahars when he was a postgraduate student. He was of great help to me when I was doing field work in Gaya. I thank him for his constant encouragement and support. May I now request Ms. Bella Stephen to welcome him with a sapling. Dr. Santosh Manji, formally introduced me 2-3 days ago by Father Sumit Edwin, is an associate professor in Gaya, and he is from the same community, and we are very happy that you are with us. May I request Manoj Manji, father of Pushpanjali Manji, to offer him a sapling. Manoj Manji was here, disappeared. Yeah, he's here. Come. आगे मनोज जी आगे आइए. sapling लाइए. संतोष जी यहाँ बैठे हैं. I welcome the 4 organic intellectuals from Shoshi Samadhan Kendra. 4 of them have come here. Can you please stand up? Supposed to come. They have reached now. Okay. So these are students from the English medium CBSE school run by J.K. Sinha IPS retired. And so we are very happy to have you with us, and we welcome you warmly to our midst. And we hope that big hopes from you for this community. Sit down, please. I welcome Father Nobel Menezes S.J. Is he here? Yeah. And also our principals and vice principals, about 19 of them are attending a workshop here in Arthadarshan. We welcome them very warmly. I am grateful to each one of you for being here with us in this rain and also on a Sunday, which is an expression of your solidarity with the marginalized communities. I take this opportunity to express my gratitude to Media House, Delhi, for publishing this book. Now the welcome speech is over. I want to introduce the book, for which I'll come down, and through a PowerPoint presentation I will try to speak a few words on this book.
Yeah, I stayed for about 9 months in 1989 in Sikandarpur, Musahars, and I could not understand why a group of people resisted any change for a better future, with education, saving money, joining self-help groups, or giving up brewing liquor and consuming liquor beyond limits and so on. So that was the starting point. And so therefore my main aim of research was to discover the Musahars. Why were they so passive to any developmental work? Therefore I went beyond the parameters and requirements of the research methodology. What is required of a PhD? Today it's very strict that we have to have coursework and so on. That time it was not there, still I had my own methodology. I traveled to most of the districts in Bihar and also to Jharkhand, Nepal and Uttar Pradesh, so that I could really find out what these people, how they lived and what they were thinking. I was determined to stay in Bihar and do PhD. I completed my MA in Advanced Sociology from the Delhi School of Economics, and I could have continued there. My stubbornness, something like the Musahars also are known for their jiddipan. I was stubborn that I would stay in Bihar and work with them. So I wanted the people about whom I was researching not to be objects of my study, but subjects. And so in a graded manner, I immersed myself in training programs for Musahar youth. Like we had two-wheeler repairing, electronics, electrical, tailoring, NIOS, 8th standard and so on. This experiential knowledge became the pivotal point of the interpretation of the data I collected. I discovered that the Musahars are tribals, although there are 3 different groups in Bihar itself, namely the Magahiya Musahars, Tilhutia Musahars, and nomadic Musahars. Also, some people call slum dwellers, those who are in slums in cities. But these are the 3 main groups, and they are tribals. So historically, in the census of 1877, it records them as semi-Hinduized groups. And I found that they are an offshoot of the Bhuiyas, which is a very well-known and accepted fact. The Bhuiya means one who belongs to the land. They were a property class, and some of their families were considered royal in Chota Nagpur. But something went wrong somewhere. They were attacked by a stronger group, and some fled to Bihar plain, and they became slaves of landlords, and they became also the Musahars. Those who got settled in Orissa, some are scheduled tribes today, and some are of the status of Rajputs. The condition of the Musahars in Bihar is pathetic. So instead of emancipation and empowerment, I would like to use the word integral liberation. That was the reason and the motive of my research. So what do we understand by this integral liberation, which has got 2 aspects according to me. One is the socio-economic and political empowerment, which is basically a Marxian approach. Marx believes that changing the mode of production will bring about changes in superstructure. So therefore, fighting for land, having literacy, good health, savings schemes like SFGs, stop brewing liquor, selling liquor, are some of the activities in this kind of aspect. And the second aspect is cultural revolution, which means reconstructing a new identity by affirming their roots, their history, changing their name, etc. For example, their tribal identity. This is because dignity of the person is more to be valued than any other asset. Therefore, we need to interpret their myths, legends, and proverbs, which I have collected in plenty. This reinterpretation, the myths and legends, will bring about a change in their world view. So theoretically, this can be grouped in Max Weber's school. How do we do this cultural revolution? We have to identify and classify oppressive symbolic dimensions of the Musahars. Like one of the stories, legends is that the Parameshwar dived into the river and went down and got dirt from the sea. And the Musahars were born from that dirt. So that is destructive kind of a myth, which we need to interpret that. So we have to deconstruct some of this oppressive folklore. And not only just deconstruct, we have to regenerate the constructive aspects of the symbolic dimension of the Musahar culture. So one of the things we need to do is mythification of Musahar heroes and heroines of modern times. One example, of course, is Dasharath Manji, the phenomenal Musahar whom you know about. And there are many others whom I mentioned in the book. For lack of time, I will not mention them. So these two aspects, the socio-economic political empowerment and the cultural revolution, according to me, they are visualized as the two wheels of a cycle, dialectically and dialogically interacting. When this happens, integral liberation will take place. That's my contention. So I have named my book as a Nobel, Musahars and Nobel People, a resilient culture. Why? The nobility of these people and the resilience of their culture is such that although they have been subjected to abject poverty for centuries, in comparison to some of the richest communities in India, like let's say in Haryana or Punjab and so on, the practices of begging hardly anywhere you see, except in maybe Bodh Gaya where there is a tourist center. Theft, prostitution. Jitendra Manji, the former chief minister, when I interviewed him, he said only in the slums in the cities, so there may be some cases of prostitution, hardly any. Abortion, hardly heard of. Infanticide, bride burning, son preference. In fact, if you ask a Musahar woman, she would prefer a girl and not a boy, because they say the girl will help me. So, in comparison, I consider these as a very big discovery for myself, because we consider development or developed people as having big houses and cars and so on. And here are people who are really poor. Sometimes they go hungry for 2 days, the adults. Even then, they do not go for such practices, which are sometimes very common. And where do they get this? This is something which we have to appreciate and we have to learn from these people. Among the recommendations I have made in my book, the need for changing their name, Musahar, is not a name they have taken by themselves. It is given by somebody. Reclaiming their identity as tribals. Mobilization and reorganization of Musahars, Bhuyas, Letuas, all these three are connected, etc. for their political expediency, evolving a suitable pedagogy for their education based on their cultural practices. That's one of the problems we are facing. That now they are part of the mainstream educational pedagogy, which is mainly for jobs, not real education takes place. And this is where we have to think of a new curriculum, new pedagogy for the Musahar students. And these are some of my main recommendations. Limitations of this book. The data collection was complete in 2006. Therefore, the data, especially on economic aspects, the income and expenses, are quite different today. However, as the income increases, the expenses have also increased. In fact, as per some activists like Sudhaji, the expenses are proportionately more than the income in comparison to 2006. Therefore, they are poorer, and this is because of globalization, that the rich becomes richer and the poor becomes poorer. And therefore, I say the analysis of this situation, the economic situation, although the data is old, not updated, the analysis is still valid. Transliteration and irritant. In my book, you will find that the spelling of the names of people and places are, quite different. I'm trying to explain to you why I'm crazy and I'm stubborn. The British pronounced the names of persons and places in the manner which was comfortable for them. And we Indians continue to do so. Look at, for example, we write Kusum, as in Hindi, Kusum. Here the letter U is for the sound U. So, Kusum. And our main discussant of the function today is Professor Dutt. Here he spells it as D-U-T-T. If that is U is as U, then this is to be pronounced as Tut. And I think his name is not Tut, it's Dutt. Right? These are the problems. The classical transliteration with diacritical marks, like the line above A, is the one, the classical, they are not user-friendly. So I have made my own transliteration table, and through which we can pronounce and read the Hindi names and places, names of places and people rather correctly. See, change is already taking place. Aadhaar now is written as A-A-D-H-A-A-R. A is for R. Chhattisgarh, see, H is used for Ch. Kshama, KSH is used for Ch. Bacha, CCH is used for Cha. So what I'm trying to say is that we cannot afford to kill our Indian languages. We need to find a proper way of writing which is scientific, which is systematic, and which is understandable. That's my contention. And though it may be an ill attempt, I think we can try to change, and that's a welcome change according to me. So thank you. Jai Vikyasan, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Father, for the valuable sharing. I now humbly request our honored guests, our chief guest and chairperson, Padma Shri Sister Sudha Varghese, the main discussant, Dr. Shankar Dutt, Ms. Pushpanjali Manjhi, and Father Dr. T. Nishant S.J. to kindly take their seats on the stage. Thank you. We are glad to have with us Ms. Pushpanjali Manjhi, daughter of Manoj and Kunti Manjhi. Ms. Manjhi has received special training and education from Manthan Kabul and Reed Bethia. She has done her Bachelor in Computer Applications from St. Xavier's College of Management and Technology. She's a singer, dancer, and a good human being. She dreams of becoming an IAS officer one day, and may Sri Dashrath Manjhi inspire her never to give up. May I invite Ms. Pushpanjali Manjhi to present a critical review of the book.
Respected Father Tinisan and respected guests, Namaste, Jai Vikyasan and Nidhi. I must acknowledge my gratitude to Father Tinisan for giving me this golden opportunity to express myself and my opinion on the book Musahars, A Nobel People, A Resilient Culture. His hard work and true dedication for Musahars led him to write this book. He has chosen me because I am from the same community. We are known by different names in different parts of India, like Musahar, Vikyasan, Rishi, Sadai, Bhinya, etc. In Bihar, there are around 40 lakh Musahars known as Mahadans, but they are socially and economically so weak. I have some observations of the content from the book. My first observation is title and food habits. That's from page number 40, 41, 42, etc. Titles of the group are many: Musahars, Miyan, Sadan, Vikyasan, etc. And this name origin come from typical mindset who were non-Musahar. By the activity and eating habits, these people were called Musahars. And I am not agreeing because this is not the real identity of this community. According to this book, food habits of the Musahar was not only eating the rats, but also playing some other animals like frog, newt, gharial, fishing, etc. And I agree with this because Musahars are also very excellent in growing different types of grains. My second observation is God and goddesses from page number 48, 49, etc. As Father has mentioned, Dina Bhadrivaj was worshipped and considered a major god for Musahars. Yes, it is. And there are also some gods and goddesses which I want to add. First is Sabri Mata. Sabri Mata is seen in the Ramayana who fed the bear to the Bhagwan Ram. But Sabri Mata belonged from Vir community and her real name was Shamana. The other is Kabir. Kabir was a very mysterious Indian poet of 15th century. And many Musahars were following his Kabir Panthi because I have seen my grandpa also following the Kabir Panthi, and many Musahars of Nalanda district, where is my native village, is following the Kabir Panthi. My third part of my observation is sayings that Father has collected in his book. First saying I will use, छुछुंदर के सर पे चमेली का तेल लगाने से क्या फायदा? Means, what is the use of using jasmine oil on the head of छुछुंदर? I am disagreeing and very disappointed because those people who use this word Chuchundar and compare with Musahar is absolutely wrong. My second saying, Musahar का बच्चा पढ़ के DM बनेगा क्या? Is the child of Musahar going to be a district magistrate? And this is also very disappointing because now parents are aware and they are sending their children to school and they want to become DM like me. I am going to become a DM. And I hope that I will become so. So in conclusion, hope many more will develop the ideas, taking forward the true knowledge of our culture of Muslim.
Thank you, ma'am, for your detailed review. We are privileged to have in our midst Dr. Shankar Dutt. Dr. Dutt is the professor and head of Department of English, Patna University, and former chairman of Bihar Sangeet Natak Academy, and former principal of College of Arts and Craft. He has been a UGC British Council and American Center resource person for English Studies. He is on the advisory board, governing body, board of studies, and academic council of a number of universities and institutions, and a consultant for various international educational organizations. He has framed the master's and PhD coursework syllabi in the universities of Bihar, Central University of South Bihar, Maulana Mazharul Haq University, and Nalanda Open University. Writer and editor. His publications are in areas of cultural studies and liberation literature. He has been honored with a number of awards, including the Best Teacher Award by Patna University, the Frank Anthony Award, the Rotary and Lions Club Awards for his teaching, research and citizenship, and Distinguished Xaverian Award and Research Award by Patna University in 2019. I request Professor Shankar Dutt, the main discussant, to express his views and experiences.
The esteemed Chair, Padma Shri Musahars, Father Nishant, the author of the book and principal at St. Xavier's College, dignitaries, and very especially, I see my old friend sitting right there, Father Edwin Menezes. It's wonderful to see you here. Faculty and students, today is a very significant day. Significant because it marks the release of a book which is so important in the times that we live in. During the course of my review of the book, I shall try and explain why. The book is called Musahars, A Noble People, A Resilient Culture, and it's being published by Media House and comprises 500 pages. Many years ago, Professor Yashpal, the eminent educationist, scientist, thinker, in his recommendations on renovation and rejuvenation of higher education mentioned the biggest deficiency of higher education is that it is not developing sensitivity and commitment to freedom. The humanities and social science subjects are specially meant to help students to see exploitation and discrimination with clarity. From among the students of these disciplines emerge civil servants, judges, lawyers, businessmen, economists, who can assert their authority but cannot see the realities of the living masses. This book does not only provide an anthropological study of the Musahars as a community, but I think will go a long way into sensitizing people and the need to effectively include such people within the plural landscape of our country. The Musahars are among the 22 Dalit castes of Bihar and are classified as Mahadalits. They are, as the writer says, economically assetless, socially ostracized, politically marginalized, and culturally dehumanized. As a social anthropologist, the author studies this formation both extensively and intensively on account of very wide demographic distribution, heterogeneous cultural practices, kinship, family structures, and quite obviously, he has worked for a long time to study intensively in Sikandarpur, as he has told us during his presentation. The section on cultural diversity, which extends from page 28 to 31, covers Maghaya Musahars, Tiruthiya Musahars, nomadic Musahars, and slum Musahars in urban and semi-urban areas, and these are very, very informatively recorded. Interestingly, of course, the idea of the name Musahars I will go down to the relevant page here to discuss that in a moment. Now, very clearly, the name Musahar is not something that has been assigned to them on the very basis of the relations of production. It is not associated with their profession that this name has been assigned to them. It is therefore a very pejorative name, a nomenclature that has been assigned. It is not only Musahars who consume rat meat. It is not only Musahars who kill rats. The Musahars eat not only the meat of rats but also meat of many other animals, and therefore it cannot possibly be the sole reason for this pejorative designation of name. And then again, we wonder, where there are so many communities where nomenclature has actually been designated on the grounds of their profession, on the grounds of the participation in certain forms of production, the Musahars have largely been involved in their traditional skill in digging soil as agricultural laborers or any other occupation like palki bearers and watchmen. But the name that is given to them is pejorative, and as we can see, it is a name that is extremely derogatory. Very, very interestingly, although this community suffers from abject poverty, there is a certain degree of resilience about this community, and this resilience has also been hinted at very strongly by Amitabh Kumar, who again is a writer from Bihar but lives in the United States. 4 years ago, he wrote a book called A Matter of Rats. And in that particular book, he talks about this tremendous resilience of this community. And this resilience can easily be seen in terms of the fact that there are rarely any starvation deaths in this community. And I'll quote from this book. The way that they actually fight starvation is something that they have inherited from their tribal nature. That is, searching for all kinds of saag, lal saag, palak saag, etc. And they are the most commonly sold plants in the market, which are cooked and served instead of vegetables. But the Musahars collect many other plants like Sida Didi and Karmi, which are considered wild by mainstream society. So they are able to sustain themselves as well as show their tremendous degree of resilience. But the sad bit is, excluded from society, immured in conditions of abject poverty, there is a tremendous degree of low self-esteem among the Musahars that stems from being interpolated into a subjecthood with the acceptance of inferiority and subordination. This phenomenon is temporarily reinforced by performative social practices. In his book, Father Nishant has quoted a very eminent American social anthropologist, Clifford Geertz, but I'm not going to give that quotation right now. I'm going to look at something else that Geertz has written, which is that it is a system of inherited conceptions expressed in symbolic forms by means of which men communicate, perpetuate, and develop their knowledge about and attitudes toward life. The function of culture is to impose meaning on the world to make it understandable. For the Musahars, the meaning lies in the acceptance of a worldview that in the Gramscian analysis, this is common sense. In other words, it is so because it is so. It gains currency of subordination because it becomes a self-evident truth. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Now I want you to just imagine a situation. 2 babies are born. They are separated by birth. I know many of you must be thinking of Midnight's Children. I'm not referring to Midnight's Children at the moment. One is Savarn, the other is Musahar. They are separated at birth. They grow up. Can we discriminate on the basis of birth itself? And this is where I'm going to go a little away from the book to talk about the whole history of discrimination and then come back to the book itself. As a post-colonial nation recasts itself, rejecting colonial representations with the hopes of an egalitarian future, there is always that growing awareness that everything is not splendid in the new post-colony. Every power structure creates its margins, and certain segments of the population are relegated to peripheral location. Nationalism, that had been an ally in the anti-colonial resistance, homogenizes into a monolith mass to the disadvantage of a new set of marginalized groups. During the colonial rule, the indigene, pejoratively referred to as the native, was the subaltern. Post-coloniality has created its own subalterns. Inferior castes, minority groups, women, Dalits, they have become the others within the post-colonial state. The phenomena of caste and untouchability evolved over time as a result of conflicts over land, resources, and cultural practices between a people who started to arrive in India in the 2nd millennium BCE and the local inhabitants in cities, in the city-states and in the forests. These conflicts produced the Chaturvarna sociological configuration. The ancient Hindu texts, the Dharmashastras, inform of the existence of the 4 varnas or classes divided according to relations of production or occupation. The Brahmins were the priests, the Kshatriyas, the rulers and warriors, the Vaishyas, they were the traders and merchants, and the Shudras, semi-skilled or unskilled laborers doing menial work. This Varna Vyavastha was primarily a pyramidal class system, not a caste system. Later these classes became enclosed formations where membership was determined exclusively by birth. Dr. Ambedkar studied the Vedic texts rationally and systematically, re-examining the foundational beliefs of the caste system. In the Rig Veda, he found the myth of origin, explaining the genesis of caste, the Purusha Shukta. This myth presents the birth of human society as proceeding from the sacrificial dismemberment of the primordial man, the Virat Purush. I've drawn this reference from the work of Chaffrellet. The key idea is that they themselves were born from the mouth of Brahma, the Kshatriyas from his shoulders, the Vaishyas from his thighs, and the Shudras from his feet. Hence, the Brahmins were the most superior, next came the Kshatriyas, and so on. Theories such as this were put forth in the Rig Veda which were again claimed to be God-made. Subsequent restrictive stipulations quoted by the Brahmins in the religious texts were implemented by the rulers. In this way, the institution of religion and that of the state relegated the Shudras into socio-cultural bondage, leading to untouchability. In order to gain greater efficacy of control, the Brahmanical order devised a weird system of mythology, the alternation of caste, and crude and inhuman laws to which we can find no parallel among nations. And this is what Jyotiba Phule writes. Through the doctrine of the four Varnas, Dr. Ambedkar rejected caste as a God-made system. Ambedkar theorized that the practice of untouchability began after a fierce struggle for dominance between the Brahmins and the Buddhists. The Brahmins started practicing untouchability against beef eaters after they themselves stopped animal sacrifice in order to win an ideological battle against the Buddhists. The Buddhists were preaching against the yagnas, thereby winning over cultivators and traders whose cattle were snatched away for ritual sacrifice without, of course, making any payment. In order to regain their constituency of the farming and the trading classes, the Brahmins not only gave up animal sacrifice, but advanced a step forward ahead of the Buddhists by banning cow slaughter and consumption of non-vegetarian food altogether. Cow slaughter was banned by the Gupta kings sometime in 4 CE. However, Ambedkar contends that certain sections of society continued to eat beef and were outside the Chaturvarna system. Theoretically speaking, they were not violating any laws because they ate the flesh of not slaughtered but dead cows. That was their duty to remove as a service to suburban villagers. Dalit subalternity is not located in the colonial structure with the colonizer-colonized formation, but in the caste-based social, cultural, economic, and mental structure of the Brahmanical social order within Hindu society. It is characterized by rigid codes of spatial segregation, making the Dalits the upper caste Hindu other. Dalit subalternity is more insidiously inhuman than racial subordination, because race is never legitimized by religion or legislations of civil society, whereas the former is legitimated through religious sanction and social mandate and performativity of social practices. Because of this performativity of social practices, discrimination and, of course, conditions to which they are inured seems to continue. In an age of considerable bitterness and despair, when the world seems to be ideologically partitioned, when development and progress have many, often contradictory definitions, and core human needs are subservient to lifestyle choices, it compels us to engage with this book in search of truth and understanding, in imagining and actively supporting the creation of an egalitarian world. The future must include inclusive texts like this within university courses, because the political, the intellectual, the moral, and the creative must be fellow travelers in the quest of equity in justice, which is the objective of the development of knowledge. Congratulations, Father Nishant, for your wonderful book, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights and input. We are honored to have in our midst Padma Shri Sister Sudha Varghese. Sister Sudha Varghese has been working with the Musahar community for more than 30 years. She is also the founder director of Nari Gunjan, a registered society for women empowerment, which runs a residential school for more than 100 Musahar girls in Danapur, in Gaya, and in Purnia. She also runs an orphanage in Danapur. Being a lawyer, she has fought many litigations against atrocities like rape, bride burning, burning down houses, etc. It would be my honor as I call upon our chief guest and chairperson, Padma Shri Sister Sudha Varghese, to address the gathering.
Good evening to all of you. Over the years in Patna, I have attended so many meetings and so many discussions, but seldom people come together to discuss, to listen and talk about Musahars. Probably this is the first one I am attending. Today we have gathered here for the book releasing function. The book titled Musahars, a Noble People, a Resilient Culture. Written by T. Nishanji. Congratulations to you, Nishan, for this comprehensive and all-embracing work. The persistent effort you have put in is commendable. As we all know, Bihar is a land of many contradictions. The social fabric is marred in caste oppression, class exploitation, and gender insensitivity. Its political structure is wrecked by casteism, corruption, and crime. The book about Musahars contains almost all aspects of their life and culture. Of course, much detailed study and research can be done upon each chapter. For instance, there could be a collection of life and struggle of the heroines and heroes of this community. Like Nishanji has taken much trouble to talk about and admire our Dashrath Manjiji. He has also given mention of Lalmati, who belongs to my village. Lalmati is a very exceptional character. She studied, she was put in the hostel for the SC girls in Danapur. So there I had put in three girls. There was a strike the girls had organized against the in charge there about the food that they were getting. So one day these three girls came by to the village. So I asked them what happened. They said, Madam bole hai ghar jana hai. So when I went to inquire about what happened, the principal said, your three girls were the loudest when they were shouting slogans. So because my girls shouted slogans against administration there, and they were the loudest, they were sent back to my village. But Lalmati managed to pass her metric, even though she had to write it 3 times. Then she continued, her husband helped her to do her IEA, and today she is a government school teacher. And she also fought the Panchayat election as a Mukhya, but she lost it. And the reason for it is the caste. And the struggles and the battles the women have fought. Particularly, I remember I had taken up 9 rape cases during my stay of 21 years in Jamshedpur, Musahars. And for each of those cases, my strength, the background I got was from the women, particularly the Musahar women of Sikandarpur, Jamshedpur of course, and Sikandarpur and Khaveri. So they have fought for land, they have fought for water, they have fought for fair wages, they have fought for dignity, they have fought for survival, and even today they are fighting for it. So then we come to the name. Name signifies something very, very important and precious for a person, also for a community. Now the name Musahar, it is very derogatory, and besides it is really outdated. We don't get those many rats anymore to begin with. So you can't call our community rat killers and rat eaters. And also, not only this community that eats rats, there are other communities they eat rat, because my people used to catch rats and put it in a towel, at the end of a towel they tie it and come. On the way those rats will be bought up for 40 rupees a kilo before they reach home. That shows that others are also Musahars, although they don't claim to be Musahars. A change in the future of the community will be possible, and it is very, very important that there is a change. And this change can only be possible when a collaborative plan will be made with a strong political will to execute these plans with a view to see measurable outcomes, positive outcomes. And I think unless that change comes, our country or other countries like Nepal, there are also Musahars, they are doing or perpetuating the injustice done to a whole community of people. And for us who are working with this community, we must focus on speeding up this process of helping in this liberation and bringing this process of social, economic and political empowerment. And in this political empowerment, giving a major part to women. So the gender balance has to be brought in. Women should be encouraged to come into political decision-making positions, and also mobilizing them, making them aware of their right to be a part in this whole country, in the progress, in the development that they are making. It should not be that the Musahar community is left behind to fight for themselves. It should be that they are also taken along. For instance, now I will say the alcohol ban that was imposed in Bihar. I had pleaded with the Chief Minister please find alternatives before you bring in such measures. But somehow the alternatives were not there in time. Although now there is an alternative, they say, that there is livelihood options given, but it is not reaching the Musahar community. So whatever we plan for the Musahar community, first of all see whether it is something that will reach this community, something that this community is able to share. And unless we do that, everything goes over their head. And for the last 25 to 45 years, I am seeing what development is taken place in the Musahars, and I see how many children are studying and passing out metric, IA, and so on. I cannot go beyond my 10 fingers. The numbers of these children who are reaching beyond +2. So there is a big responsibility, I will say, to the youth who are sitting here. You have to form a cluster of youth and take the responsibility to bring in changes in your community and to inspire, guide the children to study. And if you become that organic factor in your community, that will help inspire and take your community much beyond where you are now and much faster. Thank you.
Thank you, sister, for your words of appreciation, encouragement, and valuable sharing. I now invite on stage officiating Rector and Vice Principal, Father Dr. Martin Porus S.J., Mr. Devesh Sehra, IAS, Mr. Arun Kumar, IAS, Father Tony Herbert, SJ, Father A. Puthumana, SJ, Sister Sujita, SND, Father Sumit Edwin, SJ, Dr. Ram Swarup Prasad Mandal, who belongs to this community and has authored a book on the origin of Bhuiyas, Dr. Santosh Manji, who has done doctorate in political science and is an assistant professor in a college in Gaya, to join the dignitaries on stage to formally release the book. Congratulations and thank you, dignitaries, for doing the honor. Now I request Padma Shri Sister Sudha Varghese, the chairperson, to kindly conduct the open forum.
Now we have some time. Anyone would like to add something little more, or any questions, any comments? Most welcome.
The question is, seeing and feeling the struggle for survival of Musahars or force that necessarily can be reasoned that to summarize the life of downtrodden is to utilize them in their necessities, or to measure and push, hugging them with love and more respect in the modern society.
Basically, you are a poet, a mystic. I can't understand what you said.
Father, the simple one sentence, Father. The question in one sentence.
Question what?
Now I am putting up in one sentence, very short sentence. Why can a thing which is reasoned by writing a book, is it more, can we give more weightage trying to hug the downtrodden or the Musahars with bigger hands? Or you are saying that you're asking whether writing a book is of greater importance
or the practically
than being with them, hugging them, kissing them, loving them?
yes sir.
Both are important. I consider research also as an action. Right? If a community comes to know, for example, this book tells the Musahars that tribals. So today, they should get scheduled tribe status. And you cannot simply ask for scheduled tribe status unless you have facts. So in my book, after my research, I have provided facts through which ethnographic sources, primary, secondary, from religious scriptures and so on, I have provided data. So that can help. For example, I have collected so many proverbs, which some of them Pushpanjali mentioned. Other people speak about the Musahars. And the Musahars, the organic intellectuals, have to now come together and say, no, as she said, no, this is not true. I don't believe that क्या मुसहर का बच्चा पढ़कर DM बनेगा, that she is negating. She is saying, no, I will not believe in it. So that's the way a change can come. There is absolutely no replacement for being with them, hugging them, loving them, and making them feel as my own. That's very important in the process of integral liberation, which I talked about. Thank you. Mic here. And then to Sister Sujita.
Thank you all of you. Sir, I know understand this something understand in English language. Sir, please thank you English. Sir, सब कुछ मैं मानने को तैयार हूँ, लेकिन इस मुसहर भुइयां कम्युनिटी का जो आदर्श है, जिसमें हमारे समाज का आस्था होती है, और ये हमारा समाज पूरी तरह से प्राकृतिक पूजक रहे हैं, तो मेरा मानना है कि हमारा आदर्श दीना बहादुरी हो सकते हैं, संत सती हो सकती हैं, और सेवक माँ जी हो सकते हैं, हमारे दशरथ माँ जी पुरखे हो सकते हैं, तुलसी वीर हो सकते हैं। लेकिन इसमें जो एक पात्र आपने डाला है, मैं क्षमा चाहूँगा उसके लिए, शिवरी के जो आस्था से जुड़ी और हम प्राकृतिक पूजक हमारा समाज रही है, इसलिए आस्था से कहीं न कहीं इस समाज को जोड़कर प्राकृतिक से वंचित करने की जो थोड़ी सी हमें लगा कि इसमें जगह दी गई है, इसके लिए मैं आपसे इस संदर्भ में जानने की इच्छा जाहिर किया कि क्यों आदर्श के रूप में हम सेवरी को पूज्य माने, जबकि पहाड़ पुरुष माउंटेन मैन के नाम से दशरथ माँ जी, सेवक माँ जी जैसे क्रांतिकारी योद्धा इस समाज में जन्म लिया, और दीना बहादुर जैसे वीर पुरुष ने जन्म लिया, फिर शेवरी की तरफ क्यों मूव किया जा रहा है या करने की कोशिश इस किताब में की है, इसलिए मैं क्षमा प्रार्थी इस विषय में जानना चाहती हूँ। थैंक यू।
मेरी किताब में ये लिखी गई है, जो शबरी, जो माँ शबरी के रूप में मुसलमान लोग मानते हैं, पूजते हैं, वो रामायण की शबरी नहीं है। वो शबरी सवर जात के लोग हैं। आप इनके उद्भव को आप ट्रेस करेंगे तो भुइयाँ, और फिर एक आता है सवर जात, और अधिकांश जाति के प्रोजेनिटर जिनसे उनका पैदाइश होती है वो एक फीमेल होता है, और इसलिए वो शबरी है। ये जो शबरी रामायण में जो बर्थ खिलाया मैंने लिखा है, मैं जहाँ तक मैंने पाया वो नहीं है। इसलिए आप जो कह रहे हैं उससे मैं सहमत हूँ कि हमें इस समाज के जन्मे और जो पूछते हैं उनको, हमको तुलसी वीर हो या दीना भद्री हो, उन लोगों को उनको ज़्यादा ये प्राथमिकता देनी है, क्योंकि मैं जहाँ तक मैं समझता हूँ ये डोमिनेंट मुख्य धारा के जो रिलीजन है, जो धर्म है, उनको उन लोगों ने शबरी को ले आया है इसके बीच में। उनको मेरे अनुसार सही शबरी को हमको परखना है और उनकी पूजा करनी चाहिए। सिस्टर,
I don't have a question I just simply can't resist saying, expressing my joy and a sense of pride, because I remember in 1989 when Nishant, a very young person, full of enthusiasm, coming to the village where we were already more than 5 years at work. He became one with the people. He picked up their children, learned their names, played with them, listened to them, shared their stories, shared their struggles. Out of this solidarity, a heart knowledge of the people, who are these Musahars? For him, Musahars are not a sociological or political or economic bunch of people. They are human beings with a face and a name. And I think it's very important, and that reflects beautifully in your book. So as I listened to you and also went through the book, I think this is a lovely thing you are bringing into research. Then there is something called a marriage of the heart and the head. One does not take away the other, but it adds richness to your book. And also there is a very clear statement of your absolute faith that this group, this noble group, is capable of being someone great. And that itself gives a lovely color to the whole research. So your foundation is laid from heart level, experienced, equally matched with head level competence, and a commitment to these people because you saw their soul. These people are capable. And I think this is a wonderful dimension of research. Oftentimes it all comes from here. But when I read this book, I know this is also coming from experience. So I congratulate you for this beautiful combination of both, which is rare in research, scientific, splendid, and down to earth, and it invites you to go deeper. I am very happy. I already told some of the sisters who are working with the Musahars, please read the book. We may be working with them so long, but you will understand many things better. So I hope many policy makers, decision makers, at government level, too, you will see to it this book reaches them. They understand, and so the policies and decisions will be made with a conviction. This is a great group of people capable of greatness and glory. And also, I hope the book will reach like-minded NGOs, individuals, institutions. So our willingness to walk in solidarity with them will be multiplied. So I wish you all the best and congratulations.
सबसे पहले बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया और कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशन फादर निशांत को कि आपने बहुत ही गंभीर शोध किया है और पुस्तक हमारे सामने। मैं एक दो बातें रखना चाह रहा हूँ। फादर निशांत ने अपने इंट्रोडक्टरी में ग्रामसी की चर्चा की, किताब में कुछ बात की है और एक दो प्रश्न भी यहाँ पे आए थे। तो मैं ग्रामसी के प्रेजेंट नोटबुक को के कुछ बातों को यहाँ पे नोट करते हुए अपनी बात को बढ़ा रहा हूँ। ग्रामसी प्रेजेंट नोटबुक में लिखते हैं कि शासक वर्ग की जो संस्कृति है, उन्हें कल्चर ऑफ हेजेमोनी है, वो अपने वर्चस्व की संस्कृति को मेहनत कसों पर भी थोपने की कोशिश करते हैं और मेहनत कस उस वर्चस्ववादी संस्कृति से उबरने की कोशिश में लगातार रहता है। और तब वो कहते हैं कि जरूरत इस बात की है कि मेहनत कसों की जो प्रतिरोधी सांस्कृतिक चेतना है उसको बढ़ाया जाए ताकि वो राजनीतिक निष्क्रियता से उबरने में सफल हो। उनकी पॉलिटिकल एक्टिविज्म जो है, उनके अंदर जो पॉलिटिकल चेतना है वो आगे बढ़े। और मेरे ख्याल से यह पुस्तक इस महत्वपूर्ण काम को करने में वैचारिक रूप से बहुत सफल है। जिस रूप में फादर ने किताब शोध के जरिए इस किताब की रचना की है वो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। साथियों, में दूसरी बात जो यहाँ पे जोड़ना चाह रहा हूँ, बहस हो रही थी कि क्या उनको किताब के बारे में लिखना ज्यादा जरूरी है या उनके साथ काम करना जरूरी है। जवाब फादर निशांत ने बहुत अच्छा दिया कि दोनों एक साथ चलता है। दूसरी एक बात और आई दीना बद्री और सभी को लेकर। मेरी एक किताब है दीना बद्री पे, और रिकंस्ट्रक्ट डीकंस्ट्रक्ट की भी एक बात है। जब गांधी कहते हैं कि शासक वर्ग अपनी संस्कृति को थोपने की कोशिश करता है और शासक वर्ग की संस्कृति अपने समय की सबसे प्रिवेलिंग संस्कृति हो, इस ओर वो जब चलते हैं तो मेहनत कस भी उस वर्चस्ववादी संस्कृति के खिलाफ अपने अंदर प्रतिरोधी सांस्कृतिक चेतना का विकास है। दीना बद्री मुसहर समुदाय के नायक जो है वो ग्रामसी के ठीक इसी चीज का रूपांतरण है। मैं जब दीना बद्री पे काम कर रहा था, मेरी पुस्तक है उस पे, तब मैं सुपौल पूर्णिया के इलाके में था। दीना बद्री के गायन की टीम है सुपौल मधेपुरा के इलाके में, 2 टीम बनी। तो 2-3 दिनों तक जब मैंने उसकी शूटिंग की, हम तो एक थिएटर एक्टिविस्ट हैं, कल्चर एक्टिविस्ट हैं। तीसरे दिन जब मैंने उसकी आइकोनोग्राफी पे, उनके वेशभूषा पे गौर किया कि इसका क्या विश्लेषण होगा, तो मैंने देखा कि दीना और बद्री, राम और लक्ष्मण की वेशभूषा। और मैंने उनके सबसे पुराने एक्टर से पूछा ये दीना बद्री को आपने इस तरह से क्यों रखा है? तब वो एक कथा सुनाते हैं हमारे सामने, तो वो बहुत दिलचस्प ये, वो कहते हैं कि सबरी ने जब राम को बैर खिलाया तो मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम राम खुश होकर बोले सबरी से, बोलो तुम क्या चाहते? तो सबरी ने कहा कि हम चाहते हैं कि अगले जन्म में आप हमारे पुत्र बनिए, राम और लक्ष्मण। अब इसलिए ये राम और लक्ष्मण के अवतार है। ये सबल्टन या कह सकते अभिवंचितों के द्वारा रचा गया एक नया राम कथा था और शायद सबों के लिए होना चाहिए। ये उस आइकन को एक प्रोटेस्ट के आइकन के रूप में उस संस्कृति को वो बढ़ाने की कोशिश करते हैं। लेकिन इस पूरे दीना बद्री की कथा में राम जो है वो सीता का वनवास नहीं है कहीं। इस बार राम कॉन्ट्रेक्ट लेबर के खिलाफ लड़ते हैं। इस बार राम, वो जो दीना बद्री बाबा है, वो न्यूनतम मजदूरी के सवाल पे लड़े हैं। वो इस बार लड़ रहे हैं कि उनके काम के बदले सही दाम मिले। तो ये सोसाइटी के अंदर चलता है। ये बहुत बड़ा काम आपने किया है और सही मायने में ये किताब जो ग्रामसी को फिर हम नोट करेंगे कि ये मुसहर समुदाय के अंदर राजनीतिक सक्रियता को बढ़ाने में और जो सांस्कृतिक वर्चस्ववाद का नारा देश के अंदर चल रहा है, विश्व के अंदर चल रहा है, हम देश के अंदर की बात करें, हम जहाँ करें उस मुल्क के अंदर जो कल्चर हेजेमनी की बात हो रही है, उस कल्चर हेजेमनी के खिलाफ एक वैचारिक संघर्ष के रूप में ये एक बेहतरीन दस्तावेज साबित होगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sister, for chairing the open forum. I now invite Father Dr. Rajkumar S.J., the administrator, to propose the vote of thanks.
Respected dignitaries and our special invited guests, let me begin with a शायरी। सूरज को हथेली कभी ढक नहीं सकते, सूरज को हथेली कभी ढक नहीं सकते, समुंदर की लहरों को कभी रोक नहीं सकते। ए आसमां तेरी ऊंचाई पता है हमें, ए आसमां तेरी ऊंचाई पता है हमें, लेकिन मेरे दशरथ मांझी की ऊंचाई की पहाड़ कभी नाप नहीं सकते। First and foremost, we praise and thank the Almighty God who provides everything to every human being. For we are all His sons and daughters, created in His own image and likeness. We express our profound gratitude to the chief guest and chairperson of the book release function, Padma Shri Sister Sudha Varghese. Sister Sudha, you has been part of the Musahar community for over 30 years. Sister, we thank you for your inspiring sharing, commitment, and being one of them with constant loving support. Thank you, Sister, so much. We express our deep sense of gratitude to the discussant, Professor Shankar Dutt, for making scintillating comments on the content and methodology of the book. Sir, you have really given a scholarly analysis of the book, insights, and its presentation. Thank you, sir, so much. We wish to express sincere thanks
to our young organic intellectual Pushpanjali Manji for sharing about her own community with loving disposition and making her precious and critical observation on the book. Pushpanjali, we thank you so much. We are also extremely thankful to Mr. Divesh Sehra, IAS, Mr. Arun Kumar, IAS, Sister Suchita, SND, Father Joe Wellam, SJ, Father Tommy Harbert, SJ from Hazaribagh, Father Norbert, SJ, Father A. Putumana, Father Sumit Edward, all the Jesuits management, Jesuits principals and vice principals, fathers and brothers, religious sisters and fathers who have come and found time. You have graced the occasion and encouraged Father Nishan and all of us. Thank you so much for your loving support. We are also thankful to all the faculty members of St. David's Colleges who are present over here and whose suggestions, comments have helped to see things in a proper perspective. Our heartfelt thanks are also due to Dr. Mary De Cruz for anchoring the event. Thank you, Dr. Mary, so much. We reserve our special thanks to all the participants and guests of this function who have generously spared valuable time and responded to the function cheerfully. Without your active cooperation, this function would not have been comprehensive. Thank you so much, dear guests. We also thank our staff and students for being here with us even on Sunday today. We thank Mr. Alex Natal, Assistant Administrator, and his staff and his entire team, maintenance, electricians, refreshment team, decoration team, for making all the necessary arrangements. Once again, we thank each one of you for your support and presence. May such ventures make us strong in our commitment to the marginalized, and may integral liberation, as Father Kinisan says and suggests, become a reality soon for our communities like Musahars. Finally, a big round of applause and appreciations. Let us give a big applause to Father Kinisan. And congratulations to the author of the book for adding a new book to his credit. Hope, the book, Musahars, a noble people, a resilient culture, will inspire many scholars and readers and motivate towards social justice. Thanks, one and all. Have a pleasant evening with us. Thank you so much.